What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be my long overdue review for Prey, a movie that I saw just about a month or so ago, and I actually got to see it in a theater thanks to an early press screening. Now, the reason that I've held off so long on making this video, well, there's a couple of reasons, but mainly the thing is because I actually didn't really take to this movie that well. There was a lot of positive buzz coming out about this movie once critics saw it and once all the embargoes lifted up, and sadly I was one of the people that actually wasn't too crazy about this movie, and for some reason I've been putting this review off just because I was kind of in that minority where it's like, well, I don't really want to talk about a movie that I don't really like because it's hard to make a review about a movie that you don't like. What is there to really talk about? You don't want to spend 5-6 minutes just ragging on a movie because it's something that you didn't connect with, whereas a lot of people did. So essentially I'm just gonna get that right out of the way. I didn't love this movie, I didn't hate it either. I don't think it's necessarily a bad movie. It's certainly not a movie that I was walking out of like, wow, that was really, blew me away and that reinvigorated my love for the Predator franchise. I feel the same way about the franchise that I did going into this movie. So this movie, was a little bit of a letdown, I think, because there was so much hype and everything that came out of that San Diego Comic-Con screening, which happened about a week before I saw the movie actually. So I actually did have a lot of high hopes going into this movie. I liked the trailers, I liked the set photos that we saw coming out of it, I liked the premise, having a movie in a period piece where you're going 300 years back into the past and throwing a predator into it, because that changes a lot of dynamics about the hunt and the sort of technology and weaponry that the characters have to combat this alien hunter. There's a lot of aspects of this movie that I like. I guess let's talk about that first. So the things I liked about this movie, I like the production value behind it, the set design, the costumes, all of that looked really great. It was period accurate. It looked like they actually put a lot of money behind this movie, even though we heard that the budget for this was pretty low, at least in comparison to the other previous movies. So the fact they pulled this off on a low budget and they filmed on location in Canada to get all those vast landscapes and everything makes this movie look a lot bigger than it actually is. Another thing I liked about this movie was the way it was shot, the cinematography and everything. It just looked great. It looked natural, a lot of the lighting and everything, a lot of the choices and the shots and the way to frame a lot of the fight scenes looked cool because you could actually see what was happening during the fight scenes involving the Predator. Another thing that I liked about this movie was obviously the Predator himself. I thought that the portrayal of this character they've dubbed the Feral Predator was really cool. I wasn't too crazy about his design. There's a lot of things that they changed about it, and they've now said in interviews, obviously after the movie's released, that it's because he comes from a different region of the home world, so obviously different regions people look differently, which makes sense. That's how it is on Earth. But I just feel like they keep needlessly changing the design of the creature for no real reason other than to make new designs. I mean, why not just make the classic Predator that Stan Winston created that we all know and love? But that's just a nitpick. Obviously they're going to change up the design because they want to keep it fresh and unique and everything, but I really liked the way the character was portrayed. He was very violent, he was rugged, he had like this animalistic quality about him, but he also had a curiosity that we haven't seen in the other movies. I think that's really played up because it's supposedly this character's first time he's been on Earth. Maybe in previous films, predators that we've followed have been on Earth before and are aware of the environments and the creatures and the animals and everything. So this one was sort of discovering the planet for the first time, and we were seeing that in a lot of the intricacies the character showed off. And that's pretty much the extent of what I enjoyed about this movie. The characters are pretty one-dimensional. They're not really memorable in my opinion. I thought that the script was also kind of odd. I saw the movie in English. I have not seen the Comanche dub yet. I'm sure it probably plays out better there because I felt like in the English version at least, a lot of the lines and delivery and the dialogue choices felt weird. They didn't really feel like they fit within the time period, or it didn't seem like something a Comanche character would say, so that kind of took me out of the movie at times. Beyond that, it was just like, okay, this is a very simplistic story, very back to basics type of story, because I feel like they wanted to do this because of where the franchise had gone. So they're like, okay, let's do this reset back to basics kind of movie, very much in the vein of the original Predator, to kind of get fans back on board with this franchise, which makes a lot of sense. It's just, it was unfortunate that, you know, the fifth movie in this franchise is sort of a soft reboot in a lot of aspects, although, you know, they do a lot of different things to pull the rug from under you, you know, to subvert your expectations. There's points where Naru falls into this mud pit, and then you think, oh, is that how she's going to learn that mud cloaks her body temperature so the Predator can't see her with his thermal vision? But, you know, they use a different MacGuffin to get around that. So all in all, this movie for me, it was just sort of middle of the road. You know, it's not like a movie that I'm gonna rewatch all the time. I actually haven't rewatched it in full since I've seen it. I've only seen it one time start to finish. I've gone back and watched scenes from the movie that I enjoyed, stuff to get more context so I could, you know, watch it again, because obviously when you're in a movie theater you can't pause it and go back and see what happened. So there's little things like that. Oh, I forgot to mention the whole Predator 2 connection this movie has with the pistol. That, you know, we saw the flintlock in Predator 2, and then it shows up in this movie. With that, I was like, I really didn't need that connection to be there, because now it also changes the origin of that pistol, as at least what we knew already from the canon. There was a comic book, and that revealed the origin of the pistol. Raphael Aldolini was a pirate, and his crew mutinied against him, and the Predator teamed up with him, and then as he was dying, he gave the pistol to the Predator. So that's how he got it in that canon. That was a really cool little short story, but they completely changed that here, and it's obviously implied that there's going to be more Predators coming to Earth, and eventually the character that we know as Greyback, who shows up in Predator 2, the Elder, that gives the flintlock to Harrigan, he's eventually going to come into contact with that pistol, obviously years later, but how and when, we don't know. Maybe they decide to make a sequel to this movie where we show that Greyback's hunting party comes and kills Naru's tribe and takes the pistol, or maybe they give it to him, I don't know. But anyways, I just felt like that connection was completely needless and didn't really need to be in the movie. It felt a little bit shoehorning in stuff in there for the sake of creating a franchise, which oddly enough in the past Predator movies there's not really been too much of that stuff put in there. It all felt sort of natural, but with this one I was like, okay, I guess they did that because the director said that the time period made the connection to him, so it is what it is. But anyways, I've been rambling on here for minutes now. So, you know, this movie, it's like I said, it's not terrible, it's not my favorite, it's middle of the road. I don't know if it's going to be a movie that I watch again. You know, like with Predator 1, 2, and the third one that Nimrod Antal directed, those movies are movies that I can pop in sort of at any moment and just watch because they're fun and I like them, and, you know, I liked a lot of aspects about them. They're really cool movies. With this one, it's like, do I really see myself going back to it? Not really. You know, definitely rank it up higher than the 2018 movie that Shane Black directed, because that was just a dumpster fire and a train wreck, and there's a lot of things wrong with that movie. But that one we saw coming as well, because the script had leaked about a year before the movie came out, so we sort of know everything about what was going to happen in it. So there was not a lot to be left to the imagination with that one, not a lot of surprises. But with this movie, there was a lot of surprises because it came out of nowhere. We knew nothing about it. It was very hush-hush while it was filming, and to finally get it, it was disappointing, at least in my opinion. I guess one other thing before I wrap up here is that I will give this movie credit for reinvigorating the Predator franchise for the more casual audience, and at least hopefully in Disney's eyes. Because one thing that has come out of this movie that's actually a good thing is that a lot of eyeballs are now on the Predator franchise. A lot of people came out of this movie loving it and really raving about it on social media. It was supposedly Hulu's biggest original film launch in their history. So hopefully this gives Disney the reassurance that there are fans for this franchise and there can be future installments in this series. You know, they've talked about sequel plans, maybe other spin-offs set in other time periods, maybe a pirate movie. I know a lot of people have talked about having a predator in feudal Japan and having like a samurai Ronin style thing, which would be really cool as well. So I guess I can thank this movie for doing that at least, whereas none of the other movies have really caught on that way. You know, even the 2010 movie sort of came and went. It made its little dent in the box office, and the 2018 movie was a pretty big misfire, and nobody was clamoring for a sequel to that one. So this is, I think, really the first time since the original film there's been a lot of hype and buzz around this franchise again, and that's a good thing considering this is the first movie that Disney has released. So hopefully this gives them the confidence to do more with this character. So drop your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you guys think of this movie? I know I'm like 2 weeks late making this review, but share your thoughts below. Obviously, full spoilers. The movie's been out for a couple weeks now, almost 3 weeks, so you can discuss full spoilers. And if you guys are new to the channel and you like this video, subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified whenever I drop new content. If you want to hit me up on social media to talk about this movie and why you liked it or why you didn't like it, you can find me in the links down below. And with all that being said, I'll catch you guys next time.